Good day to everyone. For AR 432 Specialization 3, this is our Community Development Project with our instructor, Architect Catherine Huwap. Now, before we begin, may I first introduce to you the Community Development Team. We have Koby Kesler Peneyra, yours truly, as the Group Coordinator. We have Harold Banario, we have Sean Bruno, we have Jane Mareith Carolino, and we have John Mark Delfin. And we are the Group 7 for this Community Development Project. Ryan Solis says that community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. Now, we want to take this as an inspiration or as an opening for our mindset as we go along with the developments, with the solutions that we have come up with this project. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. Now, number one, for the community target, we will be naming the location and the name of our targeted community and the objectives we have taken. So, our community name is in Centro 4, which is located in Aparri, Cagayan, along Magsaysay, Quirino, Quezon, and Del Pilar Street. Now, this community, Barangay Centro 4 of Aparri, Cagayan, was chosen because it favors everyone's workflow with the time available and the feasibility it draws. This is also a direct community of one of the members, Peneyra, making dealings towards it more convenient and easily accessible. And more importantly, how all communities, including this one, have issues and problems that we, as future planners, intend to find solutions with the participation of the people. Now, the objectives that we have taken, number one, we have identified the issues. Find out issues that will be needing solutions through various methods like Google Maps, observations, and interviews. And number two, research and discussion. Now, upon identifying these issues, personal research and group discussions must be made to derive on what kind of actions and developments is best applicable to this specific sector or area. And lastly, to redesign and redevelop. Now, certain buildings and areas might be needing a redesign and redevelopment to improve its existing condition and function. Now, this could range to analysis, concepts, and visualize perspectives. Number two, we now go to the problems or issues of the community. Now, we will be seeing the strategies that was taken, softwares and applications that were used, issues identified that needed solutions, and how we have mapped the development. Now, the strategies used to identify these issues were first, ocular inspection. Mr. Peneyra was able to directly observe and roam around the community because he lives there. And through photo documentations of the said areas with issues, we were able to identify what needs to be improved and consider on our planning firsthand. After that, also made interview with key figures. Interviewing the barangay captain and other officials reinforced our lead to deal with these issues. The barangay captain herself, Rolinda Peneyra, was able to share to us the same sentiment on her concerns from the streetlights to the redevelopment of facilities around. And lastly, virtual brainstorming. Upon identifying the issues, the group then has begun conducting personal researches and group discussion on what strategies and development will be implemented that will result to its solutions. The group coordinator will make sure to follow up this advancement to the barangay captain in order to keep us in right track and delegation of areas was done. Now, what were the softwares and applications used for these projects? We have Microsoft Office, SketchUp, AutoCAD, Lumion, Photoshop, Messenger, Zoom meetings, and of course, Google Maps. Now, first problem or first issue that we saw was the inadequate barangay hall. Now, Centro 4 lacks a parcel of land for a more permanent location for a built barangay hall. While awaiting the right budget, time and process to get there, they decided to buy a small cargo container and converted it into an office with storage, aircon, openings, and other barangay utilities. The hall has insufficient informative bulletins for the public, inadequate facilities to combat COVID, and unorganized open space for activities. So it is to be considered that there will be redesigning, space planning, and vertical expansion. You can see from the image the existing or the present conditions of the barangay hall. Next, we have poor sidewalk and street design. Now, upon wandering around the barangay, it's evident that these streetlights and electrical posts were obstructive to the sidewalk, which could be inconvenient and unsafe to the pedestrian and vehicles. And with our interview with the barangay captain, she said that there will be a need to improve these conditions. Later on, they really would intend to do something about this. You can see from the streets, it's too narrow, and the street lights they are obstructing sidewalks. Next, the dilapidated school building. Now, this building, the Northern Philippines Polytechnic College or NPPC, used to be a tertiary school but now a preschool, which is Cagayan Little Angels Preschool. Now, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like a preschool with its daunting facade, and it has from zero to minimal safety signages, barricades, and it does not even have road humps. Now, the group felt the need to improve this building in hope for a better invitation and character to children and parents alike when face-to-face classes resumes in the future, and of course, their safety. So we can see this is the 2021 or the now image of the school. We can see it's in the state of ruin and it was neglected. Next, we have number 4, no open park and landscaping. Now, there's absolutely no open space for recreational activities found on the community. And there's also hardly any elements of landscaping for the trees and plants around. Now, reinforcing this particular idle lot beside this preschool is taken to consideration in opening up the provision of a park. Now, considering beautification, social and environmental promotion to the barangay will be a sin to it, so that it will uh, better up the area. We can see this is the school, and beside it is a open idle lot. We can also see other forms of trees and plants that were just sprouted there and wasn't take care of it. And lastly, we have the substandard quality of MRF or material recovery. Now, some reasons people have a bad practice of disposing solid waste is because the building that receives, sorts, processes, and stores them are poorly built, not strategically located, and not visible enough. Now, the barangay's material recovery facility is rarely being filled up, substandard in material, and not properly laid. Now, improvement of the facility to make it more durable, accessible, and easy to use and functional will be at hand. So this was the 2016 image of the MRF, and now this is the 2021 image of the MRF. So nothing much has been made for improvement. Now this is the development mapping for the whole block of Centro 4. We can see where the barangay hall is located. It's over in the Magsaysay Street. The material recovery facility and the preschool building as well as the open landscaping are found in Quezon Street, and sidewalks and streets, of course, all around abutted to the block. We could identify where are the areas needed to be developed. And number 3, for now, the architectural solutions that we've made. So we can now see how architecture was used to solve these issues and the design considerations that were made. Number 1, The now improved Barangay Hall has been designed and planned by Koby Kesler Peneyra. The vertical expansion was made to the existing cargo barangay hall by putting up a second floor of the same cargo compartment. Passive design were incorporated like the louvers that allows ventilation while giving shade and blocking of flares. A retractable patio covers was integrated over the seating area and car park to provide protection from heat or rain. Signages of the community name was made noticeable enough even from a distance. COVID preparedness and response measure was also taken to high attention by placing washing and sanitation areas, informative guidelines, and strongly marked pathways to, of course, observe social distancing. So these are the perspectives of the barangay hall. So the existing barangay hall cargo compartment was retained and was added another second floor for more activities, for more storage and facilities later on. And we can see here the retractable patio cover, better use of space, more readable and noticeable guidelines and name. And yeah, here's the second floor with the covers. So now we can see the before image of the barangay hall to the after proposal development. So that is for the barangay hall. Next, we have the pedestrian-friendly sidewalk and street designed and planned by Bruno. Now, the obstructing electrical posts and street lights were moved to a more appropriate distance where pedestrians can walk safely. Pedestrians' crosswalks were evidently placed while using tactile paving. Now, this will help pedestrians, including those visually impaired, to cross the streets safer, especially if they are blind or cannot see well. Sidewalks were also incorporated with plants and strips for additional buffer and aesthetics. Better quality of street lights were replaced that provides better lighting and durability. Fences and benches were scattered as well. So these are the additional perspectives and angles of the developed area. We can see the sidewalks, crosswalks have tactile paving, see the streets where it's layered by a buffered landscaping and benches, and of course better and more durable was the before of the streets to its after. More safer and better. Next, we have the contemporary preschool. Now, the proposed architectural solution is to improve the facade in order to provide a character for the building with contemporary design inspired by the basic shapes, books, and toys to ameliorate its sense of place, the preschool sense of place. In addition, the school frontage sidewalk will be provided with planting strips, signage, lampposts, and handrails for safety and security of the children or students, as well as providing greenery to serve as filter and buffer for carbon dioxide filter and other airborne pollutants. So this was designed by Harold Banario. Next, we have more angles and perspectives of the preschool. We can see the resemblance of books, of geometric shapes, of woods, even the globe to make it more creative and has the character and invitation for creativity students for the kids like signages, road bumps, and rails for their safety. Now this is the before of the former tertiary school to the proposed now perspective of the preschool. You can see the transformation of it. For the fourth development, we have the open recreational park designed by John Mark Delfin. Now, the provision of an open recreational park on the community will open up avenues for social interaction, community participatory activities, health and wellness, and environmental promotion. Various trees Shrubs and other landscapes elements were richly placed. Amenities such as tables and chairs, benches, waterscapes, and elevated levels were placed. To make the park inclusive for everyone, low steps and PWD ramps were considered. So these are the other angles and perspectives of the open recreational park. Really was improved. Low rise steps were placed. Seats, chairs, and benches were scattered for recreational activities. Of course, PWD ramps to make it more inclusive for those who are disabled. This is the before after of the uh, idle lot behind the preschool, and we have now the transition or the transformation if the proposal to a more better and open and spacious park. And lastly, we have the high quality material recovery facility designed by Jane Mareith Carolino. Now the MRF was slightly moved to gain easier access for garbage trucks. Signages were incorporated with the necessary information. It was elevated for about 200 millimeters to avoid contamination and soaking of garbage from rain. Inclusion of fly repellent plants in the landscape, use of wire mesh all over the MRF to prevent animal intrusions. And color theory was also applied, where the blue or the color blue represents trust, dependability, and strength. It has better organization of landscape that serve as buffers to unpleasant smell and of course for aesthetics. Separation of compartments for glass and plastic metal from organic waste like biodegradable to easily collect useful resources for revenue or for community use later on. So these are the perspectives or other angles of the MRF. And of course, we also have a technical drawing on how wide, how tall, how expansive will this facility would be. Now we can see a more accurate representation or visualization of how the proposal project would take place. As more signage, as more color, made it more in durable material comparing from before from the proposal. Now, number four, we now go to the relevancy of the solutions. Talk about the relevance of this development to the targeted community. For the barangay hall, of course, it will have an improved service wherein you can serve more people and you can serve them better while staying operational. They will not just remain idle or out of order, but they can make use of whatever services that can give, and of course to maximize its utility and facility, especially with the pandemic that we're having. Facilities for COVID fight fight our fight with COVID should be really considered. And for the streets and sidewalks, of course, it's not just friendly for pedestrian, but as well for vehicle because of the signages, because of the elements that make them more aware for the circulation, and of course, more accessible, not just for people uh, who are normal, but of course for people who has disabilities. For the preschool, it was made more educational in a sense na uh, learning is more conducive. Likewise, social growth will follow with the interaction of the students to the teachers because of the creativity, character that it gives, and of course, it's child friendly with its safety and protective measures, signage, rails, and the road bumps. For the open park, of course, it opens up an avenue for recreational purposes, for social interactions. Of course, with the consideration of social distancing, it makes not just the park aesthetics or beautiful, but likewise the community as a whole. I imagine a community having its own park. makes the community a whole lot better. And of course, it promotes environmental. And lastly, for the material recovery facility, it promotes recyclability for people to segregate, recycle, reuse their resources for it to for revenue purposes in a sense na they can segregate materials or resources that can be used for selling or for probably community use, and of course there will be a reduction of pollution and waste stream if this will be utilized. So these are the relevance of these solutions where it was taken in an architectural approach. So what we can say is the group have worked the solutions together in order to achieve the developments that were based on the needs of the community. We strongly believe that these solutions will strengthen the sense of community with the consideration of safety, function, and aesthetics. This project helped us appreciate the main objective of community development better, which is helping them be aware of various issues, finding solutions, and working it out together. And lastly, for the documentation of the individual workflows, processes, cooperation, and of course, likewise with the presentation to the barangay captain. So as we were starting with the project, of course, with this online platform that we have, we took advantage of Zoom meetings, of the group chats, wherein we have to be oriented, we have to be brief of the final task that were given to us. And since there's five of us, I have delegated the particular area for development individually while discussing what were the issues and what are the approaches that we as a group might suggest and we as an individual might ad- apply later on. And these are the individual workflow, which in we use mostly the similar applications and programs. My workflow, I use SketchUp and Lumion. This is Jane's workflow, wherein she literally sketched, made SWOT analysis, and technical drawings of the MRF, SketchUp, and Photoshop. Harold's workflow too, SketchUp. We also have Shan, SketchUp and Lumion, and JM SketchUp Lumion. And lastly, for the project presentation with Barangay Captain Rolinda Peneyra, and we have discussed together projects, of course, the problems that has arisen, wherein we both have agreed upon, and the solutions I have presented with the perspectives and consideration that was done. Her overall comment was she was impressed. She really liked the idea, and I appreciate that he acknowledge or recognize nature of our profession, wherein indeed architects, planners really should handle this kind of projects because they know better and they can oversee things that the normal people wouldn't. It was a very good experience, and I was invited probably next week to present this with the whole barangay officials because they were quite interested and delighted because there were approaches, there were plans, there were developments that was made to the actual community. So that is the Group 7's Community Development Project, which is in Barangay, Centro for Aparri, Cagayan. Good day and thank you very much.